Hey, welcome back. Or maybe welcome for the first time. Either way, I'm really glad you're here. This is the Nikko Daze Show, a space where we slow down, sit with our thoughts, and talk about the things we don't always say out loud. The quiet struggles, the heavy feelings, the questions that don't always have easy answers. And if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Nikko, and I'll be here with you through these conversations. For today's episode, we're talking about a feeling that hurts more than most people realize. A feeling that can quietly follow you through friendships, relationships, family connections, and even the way you see yourself. The episode is called, Why Do I Always Feel Like the Second Choice? Have you ever felt like you're important to people, but not important enough? Like you're included, but never really chosen? Like people care about you, but only after someone else isn't available? Maybe you're the friend people call when their first plans fall through. Maybe you're the person who always shows up for others, but rarely feels that same energy returned. Maybe you've watched people choose someone else over you again and again, until you started wondering if there's something wrong with you. And the hardest part is that nobody usually says it out loud. Nobody tells you that you're second, you just feel it. In the delayed replies, in the canceled plans, in the way you're remembered when it's convenient and forgotten when it's not. And after a while, that feeling starts becoming a question. Why am I never the first choice? Why does it seem so easy for people to choose someone else? What do they have that I don't? And if we're not careful, that question slowly turns into self-doubt. It starts affecting the way we see ourselves, the way we show up in relationships, the way we measure our worth. So today, we're talking about feeling replaceable, feeling overlooked, feeling like you're always standing one step behind the people who seem to be chosen first. And more importantly, we're talking about why that feeling hurts so much and what it might actually be trying to tell us. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the Daze. All right, before we go deeper into this is your Daze check-in. I want you to pause for a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself something honestly. When was the last time you truly felt chosen, not needed, not convenient, not included because you happened to be there, but genuinely chosen? The person someone wanted to spend time with, the person someone thought about first, the person someone intentionally made space for. Just sit with that for a moment. Because if you've been feeling like the second choice lately, there's a chance you've also been carrying a quiet hurt, the kind that doesn't always show up as sadness. Sometimes it shows up as overthinking, as insecurity, as constantly wondering where you stand in people's lives. Maybe you've found yourself asking questions like, would they still invite me if I didn't reach out first? Would they notice if I stopped showing up? Am I actually important to them? Or am I just available? And those questions can become heavy, especially when you've spent so much of your life being there for other people. Now, let's slow down together. Relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly breathe out. Again, inhale deeply and exhale slowly. One more time, inhale and exhale. As you breathe, I want you to remember something. Feeling like the second choice is painful because it touches something deeper than rejection. It touches belonging. It touches worth. It touches the very human desire to feel wanted, to feel valued, to feel like your presence matters. And there is nothing wrong with wanting that. There is nothing wrong with wanting to feel chosen. But sometimes when we don't receive that feeling from others, we start questioning ourselves. We start assuming that if someone chooses another person, it must mean we're not enough, not interesting enough, not lovable enough, not important enough. But that isn't always true. Sometimes people's choices say more about their own circumstances, comfort zones, and relationships than they do about your value. So for now, just breathe. You do not need to measure your worth through someone else's attention. You do not need to earn your place by constantly proving yourself. And you do not need to carry the belief that being overlooked means you are less valuable. For this moment, allow yourself to be here, not comparing, not questioning, just here, and that is enough. So let's talk about this. Why does being the second choice hurt so much? Because most of the time, it's not really about being chosen second. It's about what we think that means about us. When someone chooses another friend first, when someone spends more time with someone else, it's easy to start creating a story in your head. A story that says, maybe I'm not enough, maybe there's something wrong with me. And the more those thoughts repeat, the more they start feeling like facts. But they're not. They're feelings. And feelings, while real, aren't always telling us the truth. The truth is, being someone's first choice doesn't automatically determine your value. But when we're struggling with self-worth, it can feel like it does. We start measuring ourselves through other people's decisions. Who texts us first? Who invites us? Who remembers us? And before we know it, our confidence becomes dependent on other people's attention. That's a dangerous place to live, because people are complicated. People have histories, comfort zones, habits, and connections that existed long before you arrived. Sometimes people choose familiarity. Sometimes they choose the people they've known the longest. And sometimes their choices have absolutely nothing to do with your worth. But when you're already feeling insecure, everything feels personal. Every canceled plan feels like rejection. Every moment of being overlooked feels like confirmation that you're less important. And that's exhausting, because you're carrying a weight that was never meant to define you. I think a lot of us secretly believe that if we were more attractive, more successful, more interesting, funnier, smarter, or somehow better, people would choose us first. But even people who seem confident, popular, and loved struggle with feeling overlooked sometimes, because this isn't really a popularity problem. It's a belonging problem. At our core, most of us just want to know that we matter, that our presence makes a difference, that if we walked into a room, someone would be happy we were there. And that's a deeply human desire. But here's something I've learned. The more you chase validation from people who make you question your worth, the less you'll recognize the people who genuinely value you. Because not everyone expresses care loudly. Not everyone shows love in obvious ways. And sometimes, while we're focused on who isn't choosing us, we overlook the people who already are. The people who make space for us. The people who remember us. The people who show up consistently. So if you've been feeling like the second choice lately, I want you to ask yourself something. Are you truly being rejected? Or are you measuring your value through comparisons that were never meant to define you? Because your worth was never supposed to be determined by where you rank in someone else's life. Your worth exists long before anyone chooses you. Let's make this real for a moment. Imagine this. You have a group of friends. You care about them. You make time for them. You remember their birthdays. You check on them when they're struggling. You show up when they need someone. And one day, you open social media and see that they all went out together. A trip, a dinner, a hangout, and you weren't invited. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody asked if you wanted to come. And suddenly, your heart sinks. Not because they went out, but because you weren't part of it. And before you know it, your mind starts filling in the blanks. Maybe they don't actually like me. Maybe I'm not as important as I thought. Maybe I'm just the extra friend, the backup friend, the person people remember when it's convenient. And honestly, moments like that can hurt because they make us feel replaceable. But here's the thing, when we're hurt, we often turn one moment into a conclusion about our entire worth. One missed invitation becomes, nobody wants me around. One canceled plan becomes, I don't matter. One disappointment becomes, I'm always the second choice. But those conclusions aren't always true. Sometimes people make plans without thinking. Sometimes friendships operate in different circles. Sometimes people are inconsiderate. And yes, sometimes people genuinely grow apart. But none of those things automatically determine your value. So what can you do when you find yourself in situations like this? First, pause before creating a story about yourself. Notice what happened, but don't immediately turn it into proof that you're not enough. Second, pay attention to patterns instead of isolated moments. One disappointing experience doesn't define an entire relationship. Look at the bigger picture. who consistently shows up, who checks on you, who makes space for you, who values your presence. And finally, stop competing for a place in people's lives. The right people won't make you constantly audition for their attention. The right people won't make you feel like you have to earn your worth. Because healthy relationships aren't built on proving yourself. They're built on mutual care, mutual effort, and mutual appreciation. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop chasing people who make you feel like an option and start investing in the people who already treat you like a priority. Before we end this episode, I want to leave you with a journal prompt, something honest to sit with after this conversation. Here it is. How much of my self-worth is connected to being chosen by other people? Take your time with that, because sometimes when we constantly feel like the second choice, it's easy to believe that being chosen is what gives us value, that if someone picks us first, we're important, and if they don't, we're not. But is that really true? Ask yourself this. When I feel overlooked, what story do I immediately tell myself? Do I tell myself that I'm not enough? That I'm not interesting enough? Not lovable enough? Not important enough? And where did I learn to believe that? Because sometimes the pain isn't coming from the situation itself. Sometimes it's coming from the meaning we've attached to it. And here's another question. What would change in my life if I stopped measuring my worth through other people's attention? If I stopped using invitations, replies, validation, and approval as proof of my value? What would it look like to believe that I matter, even when I'm not chosen first? So if you can, write your thoughts down. Be honest with yourself. Not to criticize yourself, not to force yourself to feel better, but to understand yourself more deeply, because maybe healing begins when we realize that our worth was never supposed to depend on where we stand in someone else's list. Maybe it begins when we finally learn to choose ourselves too. And before we end this episode, I just want to remind you of something. You are not less valuable because someone chose someone else. You are not less important because you weren't invited. You are not less worthy because someone didn't give you the attention you hoped for. Sometimes we spend so much time trying to be chosen by other people that we forget to choose ourselves. We forget our own value. We forget our own strengths. We forget that our worth exists independently of anyone else's approval. And I know that's easier said than done, because all of us want to feel wanted. All of us want to feel like we matter. That's human. But please don't let someone else's inability to see your value become the way you see yourself. Because the people who are meant to be in your life won't make you constantly question where you stand. They won't make you feel like you have to compete for a place beside them. The right people will appreciate your presence. They will make space for you. And they will remind you that relationships aren't about ranking people. They're about connection. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear this too. Someone who has been feeling overlooked. Someone who has been questioning their worth. Someone who needs a reminder that being chosen is not what makes them valuable. And if you want to stay connected with the show, follow the Nikko Daze Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. That's where we continue these conversations and build this community together. Take a moment after this episode. Sit with the journal prompt. Be kind to yourself. And remember that your worth is not determined by how many people choose you. Sometimes the most important choice you'll ever make is choosing yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm Nikko, and I'll see you in the next episode. See you in the days.